in there.
Yo, YouTubers, what is up? Flankster live. And we got Gabe here. He runs a custom fan art company doing some awesome statues. So we're going to give it a few minutes, let some people join. This is kind of a last minute stream, but something me and him had planned for a minute here. So, we're going to go over, what it takes to start a company, some of the projects he's done. And, I feel like a lot of people don't know about some of these amazing statues that he's making, because I talked about it a little bit in a video a few weeks back. A lot of people messaged me saying, hey, where are these custom Mortal Kombat statues? This fan art. And, I told some people and I figured, it's best. Let's just do a live talk about it. So, yeah. So we're going to give it a few minutes and see who all joins, and then we can start from there.
How's it going, guys? Great to be here. So hopefully I can answer some of your questions and show you some new stuff that I got coming up. I'm pretty excited about it. So, and it's been a fun process for sure. Got a lot of good people that really enjoy what I'm creating. I mean, you're kind of seeing Mileena right there. You actually see the prototype in the background with me. She's being created right now for a couple people that have wanted her. So if you're interested in it, hit me up after the chat and we'll talk and see what we can work out.
Awesome. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions, just throw it in the chat. We'll do our best to go ahead and answer it for you guys. Looks like we got Cab IE. So we got 18 people joining. Typically, a lot of people watch these lives as well after the, actual live appears. Generally, I notice I get about anywhere from 1,500 to 3,000 views on some of these lives. So you guys can always, drop some questions down in the comments if you missed this live. And, we'll do our best to go ahead and answer that for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just wanted to give Gabe the ability to introduce himself and his company, what he's doing. So Gabe, take it away. Talk about yourself and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, first we'll start it out because we want to know where we stand with each other. Hands down, what's your favorite MK character? Because I'm going to judge you solely on that. I don't think we've ever asked that question to each other, and I'll answer mine too.
So for me, originally when I was growing up, it was Kung Lao. I mained him in Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and I freaking loved the character. Loved him in MK9. But then when MKX came out, I mained Scorpion, and then I watched the movie Scorpion's Revenge, and that made me fall in love with Scorpion so much that he was my definite favorite character.
Well, I guess we would be rivals then. So, because I'm a team Lin Kuei, and my other main is Johnny Cage. So naturally, you're just gonna hate us. So sorry, but
I did main Sub-Zero and MKX, and I played Johnny in MK9. So I played Johnny in MK1, and I'm definitely a big fan of Johnny Cage. Gotta love Johnny. Love his.
Oh yeah, I mean, just has that natural charisma and a face you want to punch all the time. So
yeah, he's like.
I really would have wished they would have casted Ryan Reynolds as Johnny Cage in the next Mortal Kombat movie, but I guess their budget probably could not have afforded him.
So. Oh my goodness, he would play a good Johnny Cage.
It's okay. So yeah, all right. Yeah, well, so we'll talk about it. This actually kind of all started back in the pandemic, or however you want to call it, 2020. How about that? So the year of entering a lot of interesting things. And I kind of just started getting into Mortal Kombat statues, and I've always enjoyed watching the 1995 movie as a kid. The second one could have been better, but that's okay. I still love it. It's part of my childhood. It's all right. So, and I collected some from different various companies that were making them, and then I noticed man, there's just nothing really new coming out. I think Prime One had a MK Sub-Zero that they were working on for the most recent movie, and then that got canceled. So I was just like, well, man, it'd be really nice if somebody else would make this stuff. So I love enjoying it. I like collecting it and all that kind of stuff. MKX is actually my favorite, probably Mortal Kombat game to play. I just love the way they did the story in that mode. For me, it was just very nostalgic, bringing me back. And Sub-Zero won a lot of matches in that one too. So go figure. So
yeah, I love.
But I mean, I kind of just started exploring around. I didn't really know customs existed until a couple months after I started collecting statues on eBay or whatever. And then I finally got into the forums and started asking questions and getting to know people and be like, well, how does this process work? And figuring it all out. And then like meeting a bunch of different sculptors. Like started out some projects small and that didn't work out so well, so I got to like my feet wet and like really figuring out like how this process goes or what to look for in statues or what's appealing to somebody else as well. And but also maintaining your own like, hey, this is how I want to design it. And I mean, I've had some that worked out really well. This most recent one we're looking at right now, Mileena, I had it sculpted by amazing sculptor Hanzo. He does awesome work, and it actually has a switch out portrait. Um, that statue actually does have metal weapons too for size, which I thought was really cool, and glass eyes as well. I really like for my statues, I love the base to tell a story. So I just think that's really important, regardless of what character I'm making at all. Like I want to see the base as something like that's going to bring back even more to that character. So in this case, we chose the pit for Mileena. That goes all the way back to MK1. And if you're familiar with that lore right there, you know exactly who lives in the pit at the very bottom to finish off any of the survivors, which was Reptile, the special bonus stage. If you got to fight him, which was always super hard to me, and beating him back in MK1, the original one, anyways. So, but yeah, I mean, we kind of started out really hitting our stride with the ladies. I mean, like everybody loves Mileena. I get it. So, and then Kitana, she's also like really well received as well. Actually, I take it back. Our Jade was our first one. That was the character that probably interested me the most. Like, I really just love the greens on her and her bow staff and all that. And then we chose the Deadpool level for all the acid and stuff around her. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. So and people started to like it. So I was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. I mean, maybe I can make a little not necessarily a side hustle, but just a nice fan service. Other people would be like, hey man, I know you guys enjoy this, and I really want to do this for you. Um, and hopefully we can all just enjoy more MK stuff together. So
Yeah,
we
I
started
think
out with Jade, and then Mileena really took off once we started like fine tuning our skills. And then once our group got bigger, like everybody's like, "Are you going to make more Jades?" And I was like, maybe down the road. I don't know." So I mean, there's definitely more demand for it. So I might look at like resculpting a different type of Jade and seeing where it can goes. But also in my community, like I do give other people like influence on sculpts. So like if they purchased some of my stuff in the past, I'm like I'll listen to them a little bit more on like giving suggestions or like, hey, can you tweak this? Or maybe like the hair goes this way better, or have you thought about this stage for a Mortal Kombat character? So I really like to interact with the people I work with and provide something that hopefully can make everybody happy. That's my ultimate goal and feel awesome nostalgic. So I really love this Mileena bust we're looking at right now. Like she's that's actually a great like little computer desk thing that you can prop up there, so you can always view one of your statues in real time and not just have it sitting behind you all the time and not being able to view it. So I actually had one person like put it inside their computer itself. They're like, "It won't melt it, will it?" And I was like, "I don't know. We can try out and see what happens." So so far it's been well. But I like to collect Mortal Kombat stuff. I mean, I also do Iron Studios. I really like their work and stuff like that. It's very inspiring. I hope they keep continuing that line. I saw they just released Liu Kang, I believe, at San Diego Comic Con.
yeah,
But we can talk about a couple other projects coming up. I don't know if you have the pictures of Katana or not, but that's another one that's on the table. A lot of people really like that. If you have Mileena, you got to have a katana most of the time. So people
yeah, for
enjoy
sure.
that.
So I did want to tell everyone, so I've owned every MK statue ever made
Hmm.
licensed. I owned every Psycho Collectibles piece, and I owned every PCS piece ever made. I sold the MK girls. I can definitely tell that this one is much better than the PCS Mileena 1/4. That one had a 0 out of 10 base, just the black base, very, very simple costume. And PCS kind of limited the sex appeal, which we know Mileena and Katana from MK9 and earlier days, they always had a huge sex appeal.
Hmm.
So you could definitely appreciate the assets on this one. The base, you see the spikes coming out, really cool. The size and the little bust. So this is definitely like hands down the best Mileena 1/4 out there. So
Thank you.
prop to you, bro, on that. I think it looks amazing.
Yeah, I try to find a balance too because Well, I'm married and well and stuff like that. So I mean, like, I don't want to make it over sexualized where it's just like, hey, I see what you're doing, but I do want to find that balance between like sexy and dangerous. Like, I think that's a perfect combo for Mortal Kombat. Like, that's what was really appealing to me. Like, I mean, even the dudes, like, they're good looking, fit, super buff, ready to just beat the crap out of you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to be when I grow up. Heck yeah. So I want to rip your spine out and you know get over here every single time I can. So
Yeah. And what costume is this Mileena from?
that is MK9 actually. So
Is it
um,
like an alternate costume in MK9 then?
that's the main one. So
It is? Okay.
mhm. There's different colors of her MK. It depends on what version. Like if you played on an Xbox or PC, not PC, PS3 or PlayStation Vita. And I believe this costume color actually comes from the Vita side. However, we do have it in three different colors. We have it in that, her OG purple, and a new line that we just started. It's kind of fun. It's called Darkness. So it's actually like all reverse colors. So like any of that pink you see there, it's actually black, and then there's a little more gold highlights in there. And people kind of love that as an alternative. So I like it too. It's in the process right now of being painted. So as soon as
Nice.
we can get on that, we'll do another stream down the road or something like that, and we'll show off even more.
Nice.
But yeah, MK9, most people, and that's another thing I do in my groups. So I'll take polls. I'm like, hey guys, I'm looking at making Scorpion right now. Like, what costume do you want to see him in? You know, and some people like, I'll pick like probably like four of them that I really like that I would want to sculpt, and any one of those four would be happy with this. So I think like when we did the poll for Scorpion, it was Deception, Deadly Alliance, MKX, MK9. Oh no, I put in MK11 in there as well. So and I mean, it was kind of split open, but also I do take time to read the comments too, just to see if like somebody else has a different opinion of why it should be this one. And like that feedback is really good because some people can brought up, well, some people already done MKX, so let's not do that one. Let's get a fresher one. So, or maybe they don't want to do MK9 because Psycho did all those guys. So, I personally would love to do Deadly Alliance. I think that one was a really good look for Scorpion. Has a nice chain and all that kind of stuff. So, and in fact, we have some concept art we'll show a little bit, which actually is based off the Deadly Alliance costume. But it's a direction we're looking at for the next sculpt. For when
Nice.
we do Scorpion and Sub Zero. So, because you got to have those if you're gonna have them
Oh,
in your
yeah,
collection.
dude. Those are like the staples of the
Yeah,
universe.
yeah.
So, this Mileena, if is there still Milenas available in case anyone is interested?
I think I have one, maybe two slots open. So, it's very possible.
And folks,
I
if
know
you
I have one of the original
guys
ones left open for PO. I always order a couple extras because there's always somebody like after it all gets shipped out, I'm like, man, I missed the boat. And I'm like, oh,
yep,
it's
yep.
okay. So,
And they're in the description of this video. You guys can find the Facebook group, and you can see here in the screen outworldcreations at hotmail.com, where you can contact Gabe if you guys are interested in this Mileena. Let's go ahead and check out some of the other statues, though, 'cause, there's
oh
a lot.
yeah, I would love
Uh,
to talk about some more of the other ones. So,
so here we got the Kitana from MK9. So
mhm.
to match Mileena,
Again, also sculpted by Hanzo. He does amazing work. So, if you're looking to hire him, I would recommend it. If you want to get a nice sculpt, especially the ladies, he does very good in that area. Like he captures the femininity. He's really good with direction and stuff like that. Very good guy. So,
yeah, great, great looking.
so
And then I
and
like
yeah,
that
that
portrait too. That's a really good unmasked portrait. Very pretty.
Yeah, he did a great job with the portraits, and I found that that's actually the most important part of any female sculpt, is the portrait. If you don't nail that, it doesn't matter what the body looks like. People are always going to see that, and they're like, "Man, like this could have been done better." So, and I found that can be a really deal breaker. So, like, um, and I try to pick like certain words in a that I'm trying to appeal to like a sculpt. Like when I'm talking to my sculptors, I'm like, hey, I want something that's feminine and alluring, and we'll kind of work off that concept. Like, okay, well, how do you think the mouth should look this way or whatever? Because there's a fine line you have to do with female sculpts and open mouths because it's always hard, like paint the teeth right and all that kind of stuff. So we actually worked on that balance a lot. Oh, this base is interesting. This is actually a level from MK1, the new video game that came out. So this is actually like the palace level that you get to fight in, Sindel's Palace, I think it's called. So,
Yeah,
but
when
instead of like
like,
the purple robes and stuff like that, I went ahead and did blue and did the Adenia symbol. Um, we initially pitched like, well, guys, do you just want the pit level on both Mileena and Kitana? So it kind of looks like they're going at each other. And most of the group was like, "No, we want something different. Let's see what you can do." And I was like, oh, "Okay." So it took us a while to like look through this sculpt and like, man, what really fits for her? So we kind of wanted to have a more light appeal, like the good part of Mortal Kombat. So I think it's all bad in some ways because they're all killing each other, but that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, and this one, I like the fact you didn't have the fans blocking her body at all, because sometimes poses will have like weapons blocking.
Hmm.
The faces definitely complements, and it matches Mileena in the way it's like shaped and formed. So I think it, definitely pairs well. And do you have Katana like at your house now or not yet?
No, she is currently in the prototype stage right now with my factory. So they're working on that right now. We're going through. I think I just sent them like the sticker designs this past week, and they're looking over the sculpt. So like that's another thing that the factory does. Like, oh yes, this is my favorite. So this is the darkness series that we're doing. So Mileena also has a darkness pose as well. Katana does. If I make another Jade, I probably will. It'll have a darkness one as well. So you'll have like a whole darkness set if you wanted to do something like just unique. So that kind of like nobody else is doing it. But I really like it. It was actually recommended me by somebody else. Like, hey, you should do this alternate color, and I was like, I don't know if that would balance right. Yeah, there we go. There's the Mileena one. So that's actually being painted right now. So hopefully in the next couple of months we'll get to show that off on our Facebook page.
Nice, nice.
But it's the Darkness series as well, and people loved it. Like I actually had more orders for that than I was expecting, so that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's real cool. And what's the edition size you're doing on most of these statues?
It varies. I kind of leave it open. Like I won't know the full edition size of anything until it's all said and done. So, like I try to make it where like, well, if anybody wants one, we can make it happen. So it's like I said, this is a fan service. I'm just trying to share more MK lore with anybody. So, but we have them. I think Melina's at 50. I'm not saying. And this is Jade. This is our first one we did. So, and
Um,
just trying to like test the waters. Like this is the one this is probably my favorite like female character. So, and it was an interesting go around for the first thing. I mean, I learned a lot like on how to sculpt and like what makes a figure work and stuff like that, and the balance.
yeah, and her MK9 costume is so beautiful.
It's probably my favorite out of all the MK costumes for the ladies, anyways. So, like, yeah, her MK9 is definitely top notch. So, I don't know if I have a favorite MK9 dude costume or not. I have to think about that one for a little bit. So,
Definitely like this base with the acid pouring out, the
yeah,
skull, the
it's
black
pretty cool.
base. You got the MK logo, chains.
Hmm.
You can see the butt, boobs, and the face all in one go. Boom.
Yep.
Very, very nice. And this one's sold out, right? Nobody can buy this one right now.
Unless you find it on the aftermarket. So, yeah, pretty much. So, but I might know somebody selling theirs. I mean, there's always somebody doing something, but I think somebody mentioned to me last week that they were getting rid of theirs. So I could be wrong on that, but
I
hit me
love the
up.
fact
I'll see if I
that
can find it.
all the girls MK9, matching in similar styles. I think that pair so good together. You do Katana in the middle, Jade on the left, Mileena on the right.
Mhm.
Boom. Perfection.
Or however you wanna do it. So, I mean, if you like Jade in the middle, so like me. But
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
always Katana middle type of person. I always, because
that's fine.
she's princess. Jade was her like right hand maiden. Melina's her evil twin sister.
Yeah,
And
unless you're doing the new MK version, which is not the case at all now. So they've changed up all the lore, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's whatever. I'm sure it makes somebody happy. So I can live in the past. I'll be happy. So
I'm glad you did all three girls because we never had all three girls matching with PCS. They only did Jade and Mileena. They never did Katana in the classic costume. And everyone was like, what the heck? They did it in 1/3 eventually, which is what I own now. But in 1/4, the only one you could get was the MK9, one from the one I used to own. And that one was
mhm.
great and all, but it didn't match the line. The scaling was off. So it's
Yeah.
really
I
cool
love
that
their
you,
MKX one, Melina. I never actually got that one.
oh, the
That was always
1/3
one of my
one.
favorites. It was just very well designed. So,
Yeah, I love the MKX Mileena 1/3. It's a great piece, dude.
mhm. It's very good. I think you actually have it in your room, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yep, I do. We got lots of photos in here between me and you. Let me find the.
yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, like these photos, I remember sending you that. So, like Goro's lair. So, when I'm like thinking of a different statue, I try to capture some part of the stage in it. So
So tell us about this character.
okay, so this is Marvel Girl. This is my I don't know. I saw it. I really liked it, and I was like, I think this would make an awesome sculpt. And Hanzo agreed. So this is not fully done yet, but it's almost there.
Marvel
But this is
Girl.
Marvel
I'm
Girl. This
not
is in the
familiar with her. She's not in any movies, right?
no. This is X Men altogether. Well, I mean, she was in the X Men '97 when they were doing their throwback '80s costumes. So, but this is actually from a comic book scene in the I think it's called Venomverse, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. I can't remember the villain's name, and I'm sorry, I'm not. I am a comic book nerd, but I've been slacking the last couple of years. But like it's a famous Venom villain, and she's like walking up using her psychic powers and stuff like that. And I just saw that frame, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I actually kind of like this. So, and I got some feedback from other people. I'm like, yeah, I think this would be a really good sculpt. And also, I mean, like nobody's really done it, so uh, it's nice to look at sculpts and be like, all right, yeah, you know, this is an area that or a costume that anybody hasn't done in a while.
I've
Um,
never seen a statue of this character. And is she gonna have light up eyes, I assume?
I'm working on that right now. I'm hoping that will be a yes. So I'm in talks with the factory about doing that, and it's there's always costs to work out too. So in budgeting for these things, so but it's not fully done. Like this render still needs some work, but I wanted to go ahead and share it and get it out there because I was pretty excited about it. So I like it.
I
And
do like
again,
this face, like I don't know who
uh,
that character is coming out, but that's cool. It's like a shadow figure.
yeah. So that is like Sin's puppets, I think, or something like that. Now you gotta make me look up the name. I'm so bad. I should have done my homework, but I did not.
See, unfortunately, I don't read comics, so all my knowledge comes from movies. And I do watch animated stuff, though. I
Oh,
do
yeah.
like I watched the Justice League Infinity Crisis Part 2 today, on
Mhm.
Max. It's pretty good. I'm waiting for Part 3 now.
Very cool.
That one they combine like every DC character ever made. Marvel, I love the Amazing Spider-Man TV show on Disney Plus. I feel like that's the best thing I've seen on Marvel for
Mhm.
animated. I watched that entire show in like 3 days.
That's cool. So, but yeah, like I said, we're working on Light Up Base. I think she's only gonna have one portrait. Like we experimented with having the mask off and just regular eyes, but it just didn't really capture like the power that you're trying to display in this portrait. So I was like, let's just stick with one and we'll save on some costs there. But then I was like, oh, light up eyes, that'd be awesome. So if it's done well, that's great. And then we also might look at if the wave's doing it clear resin and then having light ups at the bottom too, because she's technically boiling water. That's why all those people are suffering. They're not suffering because they're drowning. They're suffering because they're boiling alive. Like she did
Oh,
something to the water. It's not really explained in the comic books, but it looks horrifying and not
goodness.
fun for them. So
Very cool. And do you plan to do more Marvel or DC characters?
Um, so that world is kind of competitive. Like I really only do ones that I personally like and that I think are unique. So I mean, so I definitely never do anything that I don't want myself. So I don't really do it for you know um, other people just to capitalize on a market thing. I mean, I'm more like, man, if I'm really gonna have a passion about it, which really helps in making the sculpts, is like I want to make sure I want to own it. That's just kind of my rule. So like in this case with the Marvel Girl, I was like, man, I haven't seen that costume in a while. Like X Men '97 animated series that kind of brought back some nostalgia. So I was like, and then I found that comic book strip, and I was like, this is perfect. Let's make that. So,
Nice, nice. We do have
um,
a question from the chat saying, would you be open to doing Eve from Stellar Blade?
man, everybody's doing that right now. So,
You say that, but so
they
we know
are.
J&D is doing it. However, that's going to be 1/3 silicone costing 3 grand. I've
Yeah,
seen 3 customs right now. All 3 are terrible. Like the likeness is off. They over sexualize it. They always do the nude costume. They don't do the classic OG costume. We do not have a good Eve right now. And I myself am desperate to get one because that game for me was just like, and I was in absolute heaven that whole time. Like
I
I
haven't played
couldn't
that game yet. I plan on it, but I was gonna
dude,
actually buy
play
a
the game.
PS5.
You're gonna immediately be like, I'm making this character.
Yeah, I
It's so good.
I was gonna buy a PS5, but then I heard the Pro was coming out in November, so I was like, forget it. I'll just wait till then. So, um, but I don't think I'd be opposed to making an Eve. Let me play the video game first and let me like just feel it out. So I would probably wait a year before I made it, just to let some of the Patreon and all that kind of stuff get off. I mean, like everybody's doing it right now, so you just be kind of lost in white noise unless yours is phenomenal, which
Yeah, I'm
is
waiting for a
possible.
good
I
one.
mean, I don't have a problem with taking on challenges like that. So,
I'm definitely waiting
but
myself, you know. If the J&D one like blows me away, I'll probably get it, but I still want a 1/4, ideally like an action dynamic Prime 1 style. I mean,
mm,
I've told Prime 1 to make it, but I don't know if they're listening to me. You know, but I do know it's a highly sought after character. So,
yeah, we can look
awesome.
into it in the future. I'm not opposed to it. So, there's definitely a couple other video game characters that I want to do before her. So,
Nice. Let's check out this guy. So, this is a future project you're going to be creating, correct?
yes, this is concept art we're working on right now. I'm doing a duo of Scorpion and Sub Zero, and like I said, we're trying out different costumes. I actually really like the Deadly Alliance look. I think it's going to be awesome.
And this
And one
isn't going to be the
thing,
pose, right? This is just for costume purposes.
no, it's not the pose or anything like that. We're just gathering the concept. Like, hey, this is where we're going for it, and then it helps the sculptor understand what my vision is too. So when you're trying to talk to your sculptors, it can be really hard.
Now, this I
Sometimes you,
really like. Like, this is
yeah.
sick.
So this was one thing I didn't let anybody vote on when I was picking the Sub Zero costume. I was like, guys, we're doing deception. You just don't have a choice. So I don't care.
Well, I love the
Like
fact
I'm
he's
making
holding
this
the
one.
spine. That is super cool.
Yeah. And he has actually a couple swap outs, so he will. The base isn't finalized yet either, so we're still trying to workshop that right now because we're looking at making it interconnected. So you could, if you bought Scorpion and Sub Zero, connect the bases together, so it's kind of that yin and yang feeling you always get. Or if you only wanted one, that's fine. You can just buy the one and it will look fine too. So, but I'm trying to pack in a bunch of elements. So obviously we got to have the helmet. I really love his MKX portrait as well. So I was like, hey, let's put that in there. And
Yeah,
then the
so
knuckle crack thing I love too. So that's kind of like a little tribute to I don't know. There's a couple different heroes that do it. I guess Superman, Goku do it. The just like the cool knuckle crack right before they're about to fight. And I was like, oh,
oh,
this
yeah.
is so exciting. But we're gonna add a couple elements to it that makes it more feel like Sub Zero. So, and then of course we got the Lin Kuei symbol up in the front. We're
Yep.
still workshopping with that and see if that'll work or not. Because I'll be honest, like Scorpions emblem, it looks weird. It just looks, I don't know, it just doesn't flow together the way I'd
I
want
mean,
it to.
you could do an interchangeable
So
logo like this and then just an MK Dragon logo.
yeah, we could. That is an option. The other option we're pairing with the MK Dragon is actually putting it on the base itself, so he's like standing on top of
Interesting.
it.
One thing
Like,
I would suggest, I feel like the spinal cord is too long for this. You know, like,
oh yeah, yeah, it is. So
you know, like
that will be more adjusted. Or you could just say he just ripped out Goro's spine. So that would be more accurate. So
yeah, like that
or
had to be
Montaro, you know.
Goro or Motaro, because a normal human like that end right about at his, you know, right
Yeah,
here.
I just like the way I actually found some art online like where they were holding the spine like that, and I just really like that look. I thought that was kind of unique because normally he's only holding the spine with one hand, but like with both, it kind of I don't know, it feels a little different. So it's something else.
Alrighty, and I want to also show off. Let's go ahead and so this is your Facebook group for MK statues specifically, not your other statues.
Right.
There's some pieces here I want to talk about that I'm very interested in. First, we got this Kano.
Hmm.
So this looks like, is this just classic Kano or is it like
Yep.
MK9?
Yep. This is classic Kano. So
So MK1 Kano holding the heart. You got a ripped dragon flag, so it's like it's at the actual tournament.
mhm.
You got the little dude. This is sick. I love this. This is like perfect for Kano. Like you really can't improve on this.
You can actually. The sculptor I hired to do this is like, hey, I've got a couple ideas for the base that'll make it pop even more. Because again, I gave him a stage design from the original MK game. I was like, it has to look like this. This is very important. Like people will understand that, and that's actually the temple entrance as you're going into Shang Tsung's arena, not the actual arena, but like the leading up to the gates itself. So like that flag's very specific. That statue head in the background behind him is very specific to that stage. But he has an idea that he's working on right now that'll make it even better, like especially around the base of it. So I was like, all right. And he's currently sculpting the Kano itself. It looks amazing for what it is. Granted, it's only like polygons right now, but like his stylized and choices he's done, Like he's represented this very well, and nobody's done a Kano statue. I was like,
Yep.
what's going on? So I was like, this would be awesome.
Did
Um,
Iron Studios make one? I think they might have.
not, I own
No,
them all. They do not have one yet.
they
So
did not.
yeah,
Gotcha.
maybe they will, and I hope so. And if they do, I'll definitely buy it. So I've already pre-ordered the Liu Kang they just released. So
No, that Liu Kang is cool.
I'm hoping I can do a light up eye with that too. So
Yeah, that would
we'll
be cool.
yeah, it's almost kind of a must, you know. So unless they make glow in the dark paint that's red, like that would be kind of nice too. I mean, I don't use my LEDs a bunch on any of my statues, but it is nice to turn them on every now and then. So,
Yeah, you'd want to make it so it looks good both on and off. You know,
hmm
some light ups, if you don't turn it on, it doesn't look that good.
yep,
For example, the PCS MKX Scorpion 1/4. When that light is off, the base looks very average. But then the moment you turn it on, you're like, holy crap, that's amazing. But the thing is like I've turned that light up on like 3 times in the last 5 years.
hmm
You know, because I'm always afraid it's going to burn out, devalue it. It's only on very special occasions do I use it. So you need to make something look good when it's not lit up.
yeah. I'm actually experimenting because I have the MK bust of Sub Zero, the MKX one. And I found this computer chip that does a breathing cycle. So it'll make the LED like flash in and out like it's breathing. So I want to try to open up the back of the bust and attach it to his breathing light so it'll look like he's actually like breathing and stuff when he's lit up. And I was like, man, this would look pretty cool when it's done. So, and I want
Yeah.
to add his scar. He doesn't have a scar. That's kind of weird to me. So I always have like odds and ends kinds of things that we want to do, and like even improving on statues. So Sonya. Oh, I love her too. So I love this original design. The base will be modified some. We actually found a better like fit. It's still Shang Tsung's arena, but it's got a better feel for it. Like the sculptor was like, "Hey, I think I can improve on this even better." And I was like, "All right." So I was like, "You, if you got the eye for it, and it still represents MK, easily done." And she found a really cool way to do the pink rings because that's hard to do because they're technically floating. But she figured out a method that looks like still circular design, looks awesome. I was like, yeah, all right, we found something special here. So I was pretty
I
excited about
really like the pose on this, bro. I think it's freaking perfect.
it. It's gonna be amazing. I would have sent some for the actual stream yet, but it's really not done yet. It's just in the blocking stage. So like to me, it looks good because I can see it coming alive. But other people would be like, this is just a bunch of blocks. So I was like, oh, that's fair. So
Yeah,
but eventually, hopefully, like the Kano and the Sonya, the sculpts will actually be done in October. I gave them the deadlines of that, so if they have to push it back, that's fine. But you know, like a typical sculpting time, um, if you have everything ready, is 3 months. I would say some do take longer though. So
and once the sculpt and everything's done, when would you anticipate like physical prototypes, pre-orders opening, and stuff like that?
um, typically, I'll open up the pre-orders before the prototype launches. Because people know my work and they know it's going to be done really well and very articulate, and they're going to get exactly what I posting in the renders. So we'd open the pre-order actually early and go ahead and build it up and like get a kind of feel for the market and see if it's going to go do well and stuff like that. And then we go ahead and start the prototype with the factory. I send out my bids for stuff too. So like with factories, like I kind of have to know that like, hey, you know, like your quality is good, but what price are you going to give me? Because it's important to my customers too that they get a good deal and we can keep continuing making these kinds of things. But generally, a prototype takes anywhere between 2 to 3 months. So if you're good at it and you stay in constant contact with the factory, because there's some things on the sculpt that be like, hey, we can't really do it this way, or the statue might have a leaning problem. Do you want to adjust it some? Or like these pieces are too thin; they need to be 2 millimeter in thickness, stuff like that. And then you'll kind of work through it. So like some adjustments do kind of happen, but thankfully, like nothing like super noticeable. So it's been nice.
Nice. Yeah, and with this Sony, you'll definitely want like a metal rod running up her entire torso, I
It
feel
will
like.
be, yeah. So, yeah, that's kind of a must, for that. We definitely don't want any leaning issues. We wanna make something I wanna make something that you'd never wanna sell. Like, that's my end goal. So if you wanna sell it, that's fine, but I guarantee I'm gonna make sure you regret it. So,
Oh
because
yeah.
it's just it's a good piece to own. So,
And I
and then
own the original Psycho Sonya, the 1/4 scale and the 1/10 scale. I own them both. You know, I sold the 1/4 one. It was
yeah.
okay. It was like the kiss of death, but
Yeah.
it had really bad seam lines. And Psycho in general, the paint apps were not super good. It was good back then, but today's standards are different.
Yeah. They actually made 2 Sonyas, the Psycho did. They had the one with their with that pose with the kiss of death, and they had the one in her other costume with the leg raise, which was just like all the way up in the air.
Yeah, yep,
That
that
was
was the smaller one. I owned that one as well.
it was also 1/4 too, but that's kind of cool. I didn't know they made a smaller one. But yeah, I had that at one point, and I was like, "Yeah, this is good," but I mean, I think I can do better. So
Very cool. Now this is something that I'm just like, oh my Jupiter's cock, look at this. So talk about
yeah,
it.
like I said, I love Johnny Cage. I actually have two variants of him. The other one I haven't released yet because I'm just kind of waiting. So this is the case where some sculpts can work out and some need a little more tweaking. So like I'm not fully happy with the final design of this. Like I would like some certain things to be tweaked or brought to life more, or maybe Goro look deader. I don't know. So like I experimented with, I'm like, well, do I want Goro ripped in half? But I can't really put his full body on a base because it won't fit. Otherwise, or I experimented with like putting bricks in the background, like cover up the rest of his torso, so it's like leaning into the base or something. And I was like, that doesn't look good. And I was like, all right, rip him in half. So
I think ripping him in half works good.
yeah,
I
so
think it's dead enough as the way his hands are dangling. I would definitely change that MK logo
mm.
so it stands out, not be black. Make it
Yeah, the
dull.
base needs some work. You're absolutely right on that. So, but I went ahead and released this because I like feedback from everybody. I love the cockiness of the Johnny Cage. I think it captures him really well in the sculpt, and I love his original costume. So I actually have like the old school like Nintendo poster from 1992 or something like that with his his that costume is just very rare to find any type of thing on it.
Oh, for sure.
Um,
What is
and
this
nobody's done it yet.
on
So.
the base? Like, what is this? I'm not
So
sure what
that's
that
actually like a piece from Goro's throne. Like we were looking at other imagery where you saw Goro sitting on a throne.
is. It black as well on his throne?
It is right now for the render, but like I said, the base needs some work for certain. So like some elements are a little bit more thrown together than I'd like. So that's where I'm kind of releasing this. Like it's not available for a print or anything like that, but I'm like letting people see it. I'm like, hey, give me some of your feedback. What do you think about it? So, and some people have really great ideas, and other people are like, thanks for your input. I appreciate it. So,
God.
but it's a playing around. So, but eventually I want to do an MK9 Johnny Cage.
Oh,
I actually
that's the
started
one.
one for it a while back, and we never could just get the timing, like the pose and the anatomy right. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna redo it and start from scratch. So, but ideally, I would love it to have a swap out from his like the whole half torso swap out because I really love the jacket that Johnny Cage wears in MK11. Like I love that. I don't know why, but it's just like such alluring aspect of him because it's like flashy and showy. And I was like, yeah, this is totally Johnny Cage. So I want to have a torso of MK9 and then a torso of MK11 and finding that balance. And then like sometimes I'll post stuff in our groups. I'm like, hey guys, thinking of doing a Baraka.
Ooh.
I actually really like the MK1 look. I think it kind of looks really neat,
He
like
was my
especially with his
main as
teeth.
well, so it's like I would love a MK1 Baraka.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's very cool, very detailed costume, like way more detailed than my current MK9 Baraka.
Yeah, and the MK9 one's great. I love that sculpt. I think it's really well done. But again, always looking at like different things we can do. So, and I actually found a really good pose for Baraka that I like. So once I finally decide, like, okay, this is the Baraka I'm making, as far as costume and stuff, then we'll go that route.
Very cool. And the big thing that I really liked is the fact that, you're committing to giving us the entire original MK cast. That to me is a huge deal just because it's been a, huge want of mine for literally ever. I
Yep.
want the original OG casts, and so, what's the plan for Shang Tsung?
Uh, that's a hard one because some people like the old version from MK1, the original. Um, I don't know of many people who like the second version of him in MK2. My personal, if we're choosing just based on the original three MK, that's kind of where I go up to, like MK Ultimate or Trilogy, and kind of stop there. I really like his third look. I think it looks neat. Just the way it's like the yellow spandex and whatever, and like the black mascara on his face. I just think it looks interesting, and I enjoy it. But I think the old one's a good way to go because it would completely round off the cast and add to that original MK line for sure. I think you're right on that where you're going with it. Like I would love a complete MK line from the originals too, which is kind of why we're doing that Kano and Sonya right now,
Yep.
and then eventually a Liu Kang from that. Even though like there's not much like to that character and sculpting, so we'll just have to make sure he's ripped out of his mind. And eventually, I would love to do a Goro as well from MK1. And what I want to do with the base, I think is pretty cool, is like have LEDs on the bottom of it, and those LEDs will be light ups for the eyes that you see in the background of the main stage, where they like light up and like blink at you and stuff like that. So if I can figure out all that, that'd be pretty neat.
Very
So.
cool.
hmm And
Goodness.
then, I mean, like we're also expanding. Like I said, you saw that Marvel girl there. There's a couple other ones that I really have my eye on. Like my personal favorite video game character, like female of all time, is Mai Shirano. So, and I know she
My
she
Sharad.
varies out there.
What is
Uh,
that from?
she's from King of Fighters. You know exactly who that is. So I guarantee it. Just go ahead and Google it. So,
Okay, King of Fighters. What's her name again?
Maya Shirano. I
Maya
think I'm
Sharad.
pronouncing it right. So I spell it right all the time. Whether or not I pronounce it is
All
completely
right, let
different.
me see.
So.
I think I might have played this. Yeah, that girl in the red. Okay, yeah, I see. Yeah, she's pretty cute.
hmm
See, for me, it's got to be Tifa Lockhart. Tifa, her and Eve. Those are my two favorite girls now.
Right.
Did you ever play Final Fantasy VII?
I played it. I didn't finish it. I'm sorry to say. So I
Oh,
got through the first disc, I believe, and then I don't know. I
well,
played a lot of sports as a
you
kid,
got
so I
to
didn't have a
play
lot of
the
time.
HD remake version. I never played the original.
Oh, okay. I have
The
not
HD
played the remake.
remake is the way to go, bro.
Okay, I'll check that out. So I've only ever played the original. I played what was that one that they released on PSP, where it was Final Fantasy VII, like the pre one, where you got to play as the other guy, the soldier guy that he actually identity he adopted. I can't think of his name now, but oh well, it'll come to me eventually. So I'm sure the chat knows.
Oh goodness.
So, and then there's also a cool Harley Quinn. Like I kind of like that character too. So
Oh, who
her
doesn't love?
concept art just got finished up not too long ago, but I don't really release the concept art just in case somebody will be like, "Oh, that is a good idea." So, and then they take it, which never happens. But eventually it'll be sculpted. I'm hoping to have it completely done by the end of October, or at least the begin. No, about mid October. That's what I'd like.
And what scale will it be?
It'll probably be 1/4. That's kind of my bread and butter where I stick at. Everybody tends to lean that way in the market, so I'm like, that's fine. 1/4 is fine to me. MySpace allows for some 1/4, and then I try to do like the 1/10 scale stuff too, just because it's a nice little nook and cranny and it can fit on your computer desk really well.
I had to get rid of my computer desk for more statue space.
It is impressive. I've seen your videos, so
Yeah.
you've got some room for it.
For about 7 years, I had a computer desk and I had statues on the desk. It was actually Mortal Kombat. I had Scorpion and Sub-Zero on each side, then I had Goro 1/3 on one side. But eventually I was just like, you know what? I really need space. And so I just got rid of the desk.
Mm,
Now I just sit on my chair to work.
very
Any
cool.
plans to do life-size busts?
Um, I haven't really looked at it yet, so that's a very unique market. So I mean, maybe as time grows and more people like get aware of our groups or something like that, like if there's interest, sure, I have no problem with it. I don't have any current plans for it right now. Which bust would you like though? If we had to pick one today, like if you're like, please make this bust.
So, as you know, I own like 50 life-size busts. I probably
Oh
own
yeah, I've seen the
the
video.
most life-size busts out of any YouTuber out there. And my favorite has got to be these like double-armed ones,
Oh
the
wow.
Infinity Studios style, like this Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. And this is 3 feet tall. It's absolutely ginormous. Here's the hole. So I want a MKX Scorpion and Sub-Zero, sort of like how PCS did it, but I want it done this style. I want it, Scorpion holding his chain with a better base made of silicone with glass eyes that light up, and Sub-Zero holding a giant ice ball with a much cooler base with double arms. That to me would be like the ultimate MK Grail is a Scorpion and Sub-Zero done Infinity Studios double arm style.
You've set your standard very high there. So
I mean, I got a lot of these silicons. Then I think about the Scorpion and Sub-Zero, if we come into my MK room, is they don't have a lot of skin, at least like on the face.
that's true.
I mean, technically they would have silicone arms if you're doing the full thing. So you'd have to do arms and then just the top part of the face from the mask. The arms would be the hardest part because not a lot of busts do full silicone arms. The only one I actually have that's like truly full silicone is this guy. But like my Daenerys Targaryen, she has silicone arms and a full silicone face and everything. So it's definitely possible it just increases cost. But imagine this done in a Kratos style, holding his like you can even do the same pose as that 1/3. That to me is like I would pay $10,000 to get that scorpion done.
Oh my goodness! So
like you get me a Kratos styled scorpion, I'll give you $10,000 for that.
all right, I'll see what I can do. So actually, I think his having some swap out hands would actually be really nice. So in that case, the scorpion, like you could have the chain hand holding, and then you could also have like his fire hand as well. So like that's really popular. People like that. So the one thing I will be doing with my scorpion though, when I make it in 1/4 scale, is like he's gonna have a light up flame head
Oh,
for the
very
skull thing. Nobody's done that yet. I'm sure there's a
nope.
reason why, and I'm probably gonna find out pretty soon. But I just think that encapsulates Scorpion like who he is.
You can
Like,
definitely
I
do it
see the
because
skull head.
there's Ghost Riders with light up flaming heads,
There
and it's
is.
a similar
Uh-huh.
concept. So
Yep, and I've been looking at a lot of like research in that area and like, okay, well, how I know that there's a balance. So, because you definitely want to do the flames in like a clear resin. So, but you want to do the skull in solid resin. So you got to kind of figure out like, okay, well, how are we going to insert this and like build the sculpt around it? So there is some trickery that has to be done there, and like who's ever done the Ghost Riders, they've done an amazing job in that area. So
yeah, I love the Ghost Riders. They're sick,
I'll be
and
taking some notes from them for sure.
for sure. And Predominant, I don't even Predominator. What the heck is that name? Predator and Terminator.
Prebinator.
Predominator. Yes, I am getting the Queen T Rex bus. It is shipped, and I'll have it probably in a month and a half. So very much looking forward to that bad boy.
Hmm.
But MK is one of my greatest loves. I got an MK tattoo. I've collected all the statues. I've sold a lot of them over the years simply because I felt like they were, just they were not as good anymore. The details, the
Hmm.
bases, and they just didn't impress me quite as much. And I've kept all the ones that I feel impress me the most.
That's
You
good.
know, but I definitely would love to grow my MK collection and get the full original cast and a Kung Lao and a better Scorpion and Sub-Zero S. Now I love the MKX bus, but they're more of the old school traditional bus.
Hmm.
Where once you go Infinity Studios, it's hard to go back to these more traditional bus, for being honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So,
But I can definitely appreciate the fact that you're making characters because I spoke to Ant from PCS and they're done with MK. Like they're done. No
it
more.
makes me sad. So I love Ant. He's a good friend of mine too.
I, I know, like I was so looking forward to their Shao Kahn on Throne and boom, canceled, heartbroken. Like, could
Mhm.
you imagine if we had Shao Kahn on Throne like right here, like move this over into Shao Kahn on Throne, how sick that would be.
Depends on how big you want the throne to be. He has a couple different types of thrones, and they're all massive. So
Or just like in general, like the PCS one. That one was it's actually about as big as this shelf.
yeah, that was MK2 Shao Kahn. So,
Yeah,
but
like that would have been so cool. Oh, so heartbroken.
there
However,
was
you know, there's always hope in the future that someone like you can give us that type of piece. A Shao Kahn on Throne. Like that's my biggest, advice to you is let's do a Shao Kahn on Throne. Whether 1/4 or 1/3, for me personally, 1/3, but it would also be cool if not on Throne.
we've been working on ideas. So I think what I would do is the MK9 Shao Kahn version. So
Absolutely, MK9.
that one's really good. His throne pieces are pretty neat in that game too, but they're pretty big. Like his arena throne has huge ram horns, and then his throne inside his palace, I guess, is also big. It has big horns and stuff, but they look amazing. So that would be for a very specific type of collector for sure.
I can imagine it take up this entire garage shelf in 1/3.
It would probably be pretty
And
massive, I would imagine. Yeah.
I can
So
also imagine the price would be really expensive on a piece like that, but I do think it would be, worth it. Like, I mean, I would pay easily $3,000 for that.
mm,
Easy. If it's done right, I would sacrifice the space. I'd give you 3K right now for it.
all right. Well, we can look into it. So
But
we haven't
another
even gotten
piece,
to talk about my probably my personal favorites that I want to do. down the road is the movie editions of MK95. So, like in either a museum or action pose. I haven't really decided yet, but I love that movie as a kid growing up, and I would love to make statues in that because
What characters would you do from the movie?
all 9 of them. So,
All 9 of them. Oh goodness.
yeah, so all the ninjas, Liu Kang, Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, Kano,
Goro
Raiden,
would be really cool.
Goro for sure. Goro would be interesting because I mean he does kind of look weird,
He
like the
does
way
look
they
weird
build his
with the
animatronics. But
body, but I still think
I
it'd be
might do
really
some
cool.
little modifications to him to make him like fit better. So, and then of
Yeah.
course you got to do the Shang Tsung. I mean, and you got to capture that his portrait well. So, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
best
Focus on any
Shang
of the
Tsung ever.
humans is most important. Capture the likeness, you know. That's one of the hardest things I find most companies, you know, like even Sideshow is just capturing like human likeness. That's
Hmm.
why they stick more with comics. It's easier. Video games, it's easier. You know, so if you're in a movie, just make sure those portraits are solid, and I think those will sell like hotcakes.
Yep. You still need a good portrait though, even if you're doing video games. So, because I've looked at some of them, and I'm like, oh, this is awesome. I was like, if you're happy with it, that's fine. If it were me, let's fix this up just a little bit. So, but it's whatever makes you happy. Do it that way. So, I want to like that Jade. I really do. So,
I like her. You know, I wish this netting wasn't here because I want to see the cleavage better. But you know, she
not a
does look good.
traditional MK costume in my opinion, but it's okay. I understand why that mesh netting is there. So,
Yeah, I
I've
do
talked
like
about
the
it.
base. You know, I think that base is better than Katana and Mileena.
That base has the better Deadpool vibe to it too. Like it matches with the acid running out of it and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I do like that. Her weapons are really cool.
mhm.
But the thing is, they keep copying, like, the bodies are the exact same on all three. It's like they just reuse the same sculpt almost and just change the costume.
Mm.
You know,
Well, molds cost a lot to make too, so keep that in mind. And maybe that was a reason, or maybe it's also hard to get stuff approved too from licensors. So just keep that in mind. Like they might have only gotten one specific thing, and they're like, well, "Hey, we just got to roll this, and I hope everybody's happy." So, and that can be hard. But I mean, also if you look at all the MK ninjas, there, like their stance is kind of the same too, with the
oh, they're
exception of their
overused for
arms.
sure, 100%. You
So,
know, I mean, I still remember when this went up for pre-order, the hype when it was being built. Dude, this was one of the most hyped statues ever. Was
mhm.
that Scorpion? But unfortunately, it didn't quite deliver prototype quality. So PCS kind of got a bad rap back then. They're just like, oh, it's not as good. I still think the statue's absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, I've owned all of those, and I've liked them. I wish the bus could be better. So like I've experimented with like, hey, if I do a 3D scan, I bet I can make a better base for those guys. So that's kind of one of the things we're looking into too. Is like people were like, well, why doesn't Mileena from One Third from PCS have an alternate um like face swap out, like an unmasked version? And again, they had complications with the licensor, which
Yeah, the
happens.
one because this one came with it, and I mostly display her with that unmasked because look at all that crazy cool detail in that mouth. Like, why would you not want to do that?
Yeah, and that's kind of my inspiration for making my Mileena too. Is like I really love that facial design where she actually has lips and stuff like that. So we kind of made up our own in a sense that kept her beauty of Mileena and still gave her that monster feel to it too. So I thought that was pretty neat, and it turned out really well. So like the inside of her face is very well detailed. Factory did an amazing job, like on her teeth design and everything. But you'd have to see it in person to actually really understand.
That's the thing. A lot of statues you do have to see in person for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, I Flanky fan, whoever you really are. I do need a bigger house, but dude, houses in Utah are so expensive. It's never
It's
gonna.
everywhere, man. So
Especially in Utah, though. Utah has become one of the most expensive places in the United States to live now.
yeah, what's the average home cost price?
Probably 650,000.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty bad. So
I mean, 10 years ago it was 200K or less.
yeah, that's bananas. So that's kind of the same here. Like it's a little over 400,000, I think, and it used to be before the pandemic was 2K, so or 200K.
Yeah, and they just submitted our power company to increase our electricity by 35%.
Ugh. So
I'm like, dude, bro, it's just me and the wife at the house, and our electricity bill last month was $300.
ugh, that hurts a little bit. So well, I guess you won't need to be buying LED statues then. Gotta save money when you can. So no
Good.
light ups.
That's the most I've actually ever spent on electricity in my life. Normally would be like 100, 150, but they just keep raising prices. So
Hmm.
Predator has not collected a single hyper bust. Dude, bro, what are you doing? You gotta get one. I'm definitely a big fan of the hyper realistic busts. I think they're game changers. I'd love to see MK hyper realistic, but in general, I just want more MK statues. Every time I see an MK statue, it makes me happy. Whether I'm collecting it or not, I love
Yeah.
seeing because I think they're so cool.
What'd you think of that Noob Sabat that PCS put out?
Oh, the MK11 one?
Hmm.
I did like it quite a bit. Although MK11, I didn't like the game. I played the
Yeah.
story mode and it just felt like injustice to me and I hated that. So
Oh.
I stopped playing. But I did like the statue. I thought it was a great looking piece.
Hmm.
I
I thought it
never
was pretty well done. It's probably not my favorite Noob costume. If I had to pick one, it's probably it was going to be MK9. I just like that look that he had.
MK9
So
just had such good costumes. MK9, MKX are
it
so
has
good.
most of them that are pretty good in that game. Yeah, you're right. So I actually love Quan Chi's costume in MK9. That's pretty good. So if I ever did Quan Chi, I'd definitely do that one.
Yeah, MK9 Quan. I got the MKX one. His costume's pretty cool in that one too.
Hmm. Yep, that's good. So another beloved character. Oh, I would love to make oh gosh, you just named Onaga. I want to make
Oh,
that. Oh man, that would be so much fun. So
that'd be
that's
a
just a
big one too.
it would be. He would be actually, yeah, 1/4 scale. He would be probably as big as that Goro in 1/3 almost because he's
Really?
pretty massive in size. Yeah, he's way taller
What
than Goro.
was he like 10 feet tall?
I don't know. That's a good question. So we have Google here.
Let's Google that.
So let's see what we can do first. Uh,
Because I mean, I got the OG four bosses right here, all in 1/4.
yeah.
And they're pretty big. The bases aren't very big, but the characters are quite big. Motaro, I think he's like 29 inches tall to the top of his hand.
Hmm. Oh yeah, that is a pretty big one. That's right. So I think he'd be a little bit bigger than that because he's a horse or centaur or whatever it is. So
A centaur. I mean, it's a pretty big piece. It's a great piece for sure.
yeah. Wow, they don't really list Onaga's height. How about that? They're saying that Shiva is the. Oh wait, no, hold on. Sorry. Here we go. Nope, they didn't list him in there. How dare they? Come on, guys. Y'all look that up. Find out what his height is. I know he's huge, so I've seen all the videos of him compared to like all the other characters.
I mean, Goro's got to be what, 8 feet tall at least.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's much bigger than Goro, he's got to be like 10 feet.
Oh, I can't believe that. I cannot find it. It's gonna bug me now. I will have this answer eventually. Anyways, I know it'd be big because he also has wings. He's got horns, all that kind of stuff. So I have an artist actually picked out for him if we ever do it. And another good one that I think would be really good because everybody kind of loves the gothic feel is why did her name just leave me? So who's the bug lady in MKX?
Oh, what's her bucket? Yeah, I
Yeah.
always hate Devora.
Devora, there we go. Thank you. Gosh,
It's
man.
so annoying to fight against.
Yeah, it is, but she has a really good like unique MK vibe. So I know some people don't like her because she killed Mileena in the game, and I totally get it. So, but she has that really cool like goth bug feel, and I think she would make a great statue too. And nobody's done her yet, so I think I've seen some Patreon of it, and they've done a pretty good job.
PCS was going to make her. They showed off like a 3D render of her, but then they
Oh,
canceled.
okay. That stinks. So I bet it would have been awesome.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah, she would have been pretty cool. She was supposed to be part of the line, but then they just kept slowing down MK sales. As you saw, they canceled the raid in. Shao Kahn got stolen by Jerry Macaluso and canceled.
mm,
So yeah, it's a shame, but I think it's really great what you're doing, Gabe. I can definitely appreciate it. You got good ideas and you're doing really good work. So, I'm looking forward to eventually getting my first statue from you in the collection.
okay.
You
Well,
know,
hopefully it can be soon. So maybe that Kano or Sonya will lure you
Amy,
over.
Kano, Sonya, Johnny Cage, those are gonna come home.
Oh yeah, we're definitely doing a Johnny Cage. It's just a matter of tweaking things and making them really something that's up to my standard of satisfaction. So
Yeah, and then of course
and it's
you
some
got
work.
Shang Tsung.
So
I need Shang Tsung to go with this boss line. It's like,
which Shang do you like?
ah,
Because you could pair either Shang Tsung 1, 2, or 3, and they would match in all of those. So
yeah. I mean, if we're doing classic to match this line, I mean, let me look at some photos. I want to see the exact MK1 Shang Tsung. Let me see what he looks like.
that's an old man. So
I know
you
the
could,
face is old, but I want to see what just like.
yeah, you could use the MK9 version of old Shang Tsung too, because he was in that. So
I mean, MK9 is definitely my favorite look in general, and I loved playing him in that game.
that was good.
Imagine doing the MK1 movie Shang Tsung statue.
Yeah, I haven't looked into that. So
All right, let's
Kerry
see.
Hugataga would be Tagawa. I can't pronounce his name. I'm sorry. Kerry. We're just gonna call him Kerry. So I can pronounce that. But yeah, he was amazing saying Shang. I loved him. I like that they brought his look back for MK11. I thought that was pretty cool.
All right, I got a photo right here of all the Shang Shungs. Check that out. So that's all of them.
Hmm.
Every costume. Let's see. I mean, I love MK9. Between MK1, 2, and 3. I mean, it's kind of hard on 1 because like the graphics were so bad. You
Yeah,
kind
but
of,
you can adjust that and make it look better. There's plenty of reference photos out there for MK1 where you could find something that's nice. Um, MK2 is kind of weird. I don't know. I never felt that one personally. I just thought it was always awkward. But I love that MK3 one personally. If I had to choose, um, like that one just has a really nice nostalgic feel to it from the one
I
through
would do
three.
3 over 2 for sure.
Deadly Alliance is nice too. I like that one. MK9, yeah, you can't go wrong. MK11 is not bad as long as you had the Carry portrait. I think it would sell it well. So,
Yeah, definitely have that portrait. I mean, I kind of like the old man look, as well. That old man look is really cool.
hmm
I
yeah,
would just love a swap out though, like have like 2 portraits, one old, one young, because really you could just make it a swap out portrait.
you probably could do that. So, it has a good neckline where you could swap it out on most of his costumes there. Actually, probably if you were doing it all, the MK9 alternate might be the best one to choose
Yeah, for
because
the
that style you could swap out an old man head and a younger portrait, and it would probably fit very well.
I mean, you could even do that pose holding the fire skull. That'd actually be a really cool
hmm
pose.
I think
Or
so.
the MK versus DC pose, doing like the souls. I think that'd work really good
I
for
would like
Shang.
to do the souls personally. That's just always my
I mean,
thing
if you
when I
could
do
somehow
Shang
do
stuff.
swap outs, that would be ideal. So you'd
Hmm.
have options, but the souls definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely gonna get me a Shang Tsung eventually.
I would like one as well. So I guess I got to get on that. But I definitely
Alrighty,
want to do the movie line. So
oh, for sure, the movie. So, YouTubers, is there any questions you guys have for Gabe? While we got him here on the live. So, throw any comments down below regarding anything you want to know. What's up? Is it Michelle Sergi? How do you even pronounce that name?
Michelle, I'm guessing anyways. So
Yeah, I'm waiting for Berserker Predator 2.0 as well. Predminator.
who's making that?
I mean, we know a custom studio is starting to make a lot of life-size Predator busts. They said they're
Hmm.
doing Wolf, Elder, called Deep Tail. I'm getting their Jungle Hunter. I definitely want to get their Wolf. For me, it's Wolf, Berserker, Jungle Hunter. Those are like the 3 best looking Predators and my favorites.
Flankster fan asked an interesting question there. Will MK statues ever expand outside of MK?
What does that mean?
I don't know. That's why it was interesting to me. So
Well, MK,
if you could elaborate on that, Flankster fan, that would be great.
will MK statues ever expand outside MK?
Unless he's asking if I'll do stuff outside of that, which we've already kind of discussed. Yeah.
Is he asking about my display if it's going to go out of this display?
No clue. So
I
if he
mean,
answers it, great. If not, it's okay.
I mean, if I truly had to expand, for me, it would have to be this shell that would have to become MK. You know, it's like it's all connected. Like I would need to remove these statues, put them elsewhere, and do like Johnny Cage and Sonya and Kano. If I could fit all three, they were great. And ideally up there, Shao Kahn 1/3 on throne. You know, and then Shang Tsung. I mean, if we removed Baraka and put Shang Tsung right here, you know, that would work great. We will see, though. Time will tell. I need to get dimensions on your statues eventually to see if I could fit 3 in one shelf. You know, similar to this. You know, like if I could fit 3 in a shelf, that would be ideal.
Actually, I think I had the dimensions on that that post there. I can't think of them off the top of my head either. So, but I'm pretty sure you could fit.
Don't look big. It's the Johnny Cage with the Goro base. I'm like, ooh, that looks kind of big. I mean, I love it.
Oh yeah.
Hog.
I haven't measured that one out yet for 1/4. That was actually just a 1/10 scale run. So, but yeah, that one would be pretty big, I would imagine. So, but there's ways to like cheat around it, and you can shorten up the base height. So I try to keep all circular designs with my stuff though, because it makes it fit a little bit easier into people's stuff and my own.
Yeah, circular and under a foot is what I would say. He asked if someone asked if you like Dragon Ball at all.
Oh yeah, of course. I grew up watching that. So my favorite episode ever is when Goku transforms the first time after Krillin got blown up for like the 5th time or whatever. So
Goku.
Yeah, I'm still convinced that Goku can beat Superman in a fight too. So
of course, dude. Goku.
Seen the death battles, they're crap.
Superman, dude. I feel like he'd destroy any Marvel or DC character.
I would think so, but
no, he's
opinions vary.
You know, he could literally just like one hit, he could destroy any of them.
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm a big Dragon Ball fan. I love it. So I don't think I'd ever look into making customs in that area just because there's so much.
It is
and I'd rather just buy their stuff.
Saturated market, so saturated, bro. Like,
oh yeah, so
there's a new company every week, and for the most part, 90% of the statues suck. I usually stick to a company called KD Collectibles. They made this Goku and Vegeta bust, and these are outstanding. Like the quality, the sculpts. You know, he did this Gohan and Trunks. He's really good.
Oh, I love that scene right there when fighting Cell. That was kind of cool.
So good. He made this Cell right here really cool, and that android statue. That android, that is Prime 1 detail. Like, I think he might have used a Prime 1 factory, but that is just as good as like any of these statues.
Yeah, I saw one recently that I thought was pretty neat for that. It was like Goku, I think, in Super Saiyan 3. It had like a golden dragon right next to him, and he was like extending out a punch. And I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. So I like anything involved with that dragon too. I just love that dragon.
Yeah, the Dragon Fist. I used to have a Dragon Fist statue. It was made by a company called Exceed. I sold it eventually just because it's kind of outdated. So someone was asking a question: how much do 3D sculpts usually cost?
It depends. Depends on the sculptor and the price. I mean, it can range anywhere from $250, which is, you know, your basic standard kind of stuff if you're just looking for something for yourself to make you happy, or if you're looking for something like if you want to take it into production or mass scale, like you can spend up to 10 grand pretty easy. So choose wisely.
Yeah, because I'm sure like the 3D sculpts on like these were very pricey, right? What would you guess?
Could have been. So
I mean, like, this came right out of the video game. Like, I swear, this looks like a 3D scan from the video game directly made into a statue. It's not good. Like that Ellie, oh my gosh, that face and Abby, these are insane. I know people are calling these statues boring, but they are so good in person. The detail's insane.
I think if it makes you happy, it's okay. So I actually never played that video game. It's on my list. I just never got around to it. So
did you play Ghost of Tsushima?
I need to play that too. So like I said, when I get the PS5 Pro finally, I'll get around to playing some of those games. I definitely want to play Ghost of Tsushima. I've heard that great things about that.
Yeah, I got that game DBZ Sparking Zero on my GameFly list. You know, I just rent everything. It's, you know, I don't usually buy a lot.
Sparking Zero. All right, refresh my memory on what that is. Is that a Dragon Ball game?
It's a Dragon Ball Z game.
Okay, fighting.
MK Statues was the name of Gabe's business. LOL, my bad. Gabe, go ahead and tell him the name of your business.
It's called Outworld Creations. So I was just coming up with names one day. I was like, oh, I kind of like this. So that's my IG handle too.
There you go. Yeah, and folks, in the description below is the link to his MK group. So go ahead and join. You guys can message Gabe, ask about statues. If you want to pre-order, anything, just go ahead and message him. You can mention Flankster if you want, so we kind of know where you came from. But
Or make suggestions. Like if there's a MK statue, I'm like, man, nobody's ever done this. So like people have good ideas. So we just kind of pitch them around and see where we can go. Like Nitara would be a good one too. I would love that. So from her Deception days, I think it was Deception, anyways. So
and you're making a Sindel, right?
we're working on that. So like we had a couple renditions of it, and some people liked it. Most people did not. So we're like, all right, we're gonna go back to the drawing board then. Definitely would like a flying pose for sure. You got to do that. So,
Ooh, that'd be
and
really
I want to try to do some swap out poses. But yeah, MK9 costume, hands down. That's gonna be it. I love that costume. So it's gonna be that. But she got
honestly,
delayed a little bit while we work on the idea.
I would love just the entire MK9 cast and costume done in like 1/4, dude. I swear I would buy that whole thing. MK9, I probably played that game for 400 hours, if I'm honest. I had a PS Vita at work, and I would practice combos 8 hours a day.
It was a really good game. It brought back a lot of nostalgia and like kind of refreshed the franchise actually too, because it was a little stale in Armageddon because I guess there wasn't like custom fatalities or whatever. It was like all kind of the same thing, just button mashing. It had a great list of roster characters, but the fatalities were kind of lacking. And then I think the next one actually after that was MK versus DC, and that was okay. That was fun to play. And then MK11 came or MK9 came out. That was awesome. So that was really where it captured me back again.
Definitely for me.
Mhm.
I played a few of the games over the years. I did like MK Shaolin Monks a lot. I thought that was very fun. It was different. I would love an updated version of a game like that. I think that'd be great.
That one was fun. That was definitely unique, like going the way, and you could play with a couple different characters too through the game, so it actually had some really good replay value. So I
Yeah,
actually need
I
to play that
definitely
again.
think
I have an Xbox around here somewhere.
there's a lot of room for MK to expand beyond just a fighting game. Like we need an open world, almost like a God of War style Mortal Kombat game,
Mm,
where you get to play as, I don't know, Scorpion or Liu Kang or just one character, and you go through their whole journey together, leveling up, fighting different characters. I think it'd be so cool.
it might be better to do a journey for multiple characters. So I mean, I know people love Scorpion, but there's other ones too besides him that exist. So like you could
Maybe
do
a
different
few.
chapters stories, kind of like how they do in the story mode in MK, but you do it in an open world kind of concept. So that'd
If
be
they
kind of
did
fun.
that, I would say limit it to two. 'Cause video games where you have too many, you don't have a good enough chance to like level up, get new moves. You
Mm,
have to do like you play a Scorpion, you play a Sub Zero, and you can do like 15 to 20 hour campaigns in each big open world, tons of leveling up. Fighting all the different characters. One's
mm.
a good guy, one's a bad guy. I mean, that's the question: is Scorpion or Sub Zero, like, who's the good guy, who's the bad guy? Because it kind of varies on how you look at it and which
Yeah.
version of them. You
I don't
know,
really care. I just want them to hate each other. That's what I like. So
you just love the
just
fighting.
just redo the rivalry. I don't care who's right or wrong. Just start beating the crap out of each other. So
I always view it as like Sub Zero's kind of the evil guy, and Scorpion's like I don't know, kind of an anti-hero. Just
yeah,
wants
sure. If you want to write
revenge.
it that way, I've never seen it that way, but yeah, that's fine. They're just misunderstood and misguided in the video games. In the movie, yeah, I guess that was the hero anti-hero kind of thing. The one recent one that came out, so they
Are you
rewrote the
looking
story.
forward to the new movie?
Uh, I mean, I'll watch it. So that's that's about all I can say. I don't really know enough about it. I thought it was weird that it was delayed a whole year after they got done with the shooting, which means they probably have to do reshoots or uh, an insane amount of animation. And I've heard like early screening reviews about it that it's really just like a Johnny Cage Katana movie. So I was like,
Really?
oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because you bring in Carl Urban, he's the main. Like everybody knows who that guy is,
Yeah, Carl Urban, The Boys.
and everybody else in that movie, other than the guy who plays Scorpion, is kind of no name. Well, Joe Talisman's he's pretty well known in the kung fu world. So
So,
Sonya Blade is your favorite character. Yeah, she is good. I love her too.
if I worked for ECC, what Buster statue would I do? I mean, Underworld Kate Beckinsale. Life size bust in 1/3. It was a huge miss they never made her.
I think PCS Studios is making one right now.
They're
I'm
making a
reporting.
1/3 version, but
Oh, it's 1/3.
if
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest, PCS's human sculpts are not super impressive for me.
Hmm.
Their monsters are incredible, but I got their Jean-Claude Van Damme. I was very disappointed. The likeness was off, the paint was terrible. I did not like it. Then I got the Blade, which is much more like a creature and whatnot, and it's amazing, one of the coolest statues ever. So PCS, I stick for creatures, not the humans. So I'm a little worried about Underworld if they don't know the likeness or if the paint app isn't good on production.
Oh, their Conan they just released. They actually repainted that. It looks amazing. I saw it in
That
Comic
is
Con.
the prototype, though. You got to wait for production. Production's a
That's
different.
true. That's true. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. So, because I know Ant's very passionate about what he does. So, and they listen to their fans. Like he does. He does a very good job of that, and he keeps learning too. So he is not perfect by any means, but he damn sure tries to get there. So, I'll give him props to that. And I'm not even a Conan fan, and I kind of want that statue. So I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So
I almost bought the 1/3 cone. I actually like that 1/3 one. I think that one's pretty good.
it's pretty neat. So,
I almost bought it probably like 10 times
mm,
to go with my red Sonya.
yeah.
I mean, we'll see on Conan. I don't like the fact that it's a half scale and doesn't have glass eyes or real hair,
Mm.
but that would obviously increase the price. The Pure Arts half scale just came out at $3,000 for, the Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you saw that or not.
No, I didn't see that one. So,
Yeah, it's $3,000 for a half scale. I'm like, ooh, that's more expensive than Infinity Studios. I'm like,
mm.
it looks really cool, but I don't know if they're going to sell a lot of that.
I like their half scale Akuma they did. That looked pretty cool. So they showed that at Comic Con, I think, last year. I don't think they had it there this year. But that looked pretty neat. Like he put a lot of work into that, and the statue design's like really, it looks pretty neat. And now he's looking at doing Chung Li, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I'll have to make some budget room for that.
I never got big into Street Fighter. I really tried. Like I bought stick to play with. I had my brother try training me, but I could just not get into it.
Oh, I love them all, man. I love all the fighting games. I think they're fun. So like that Street Fighter. I'm also a big Tekken fan. Like I love some Tekken. My favorite fighter in that's Lei Wulong. I remember playing with him because I picked him by accident in the arcade when Tekken 2 came out, and I've just kind of stuck with it ever since. I played a lot of that with my dad growing up too. Like we were big Tekken 3 fans
Did you
on
play Soul
PlayStation.
Calibur?
I did. I did play Soul
See,
Calibur
I
or
played that
Soul
a lot.
Blade back in the day. So for the
Dude,
arcade.
Soul Calibur 1, me and my brothers, and 1 and 2, we would literally play every day, and it always ended in a fight, when you're playing with your
Mhm.
brothers. But we
2
would
was probably the most nostalgic because when it was on GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox, everybody had an extra bonus character that was unique to them. So, like, Xbox had Spawn, GameCube had Link, I believe, and then PS2 had Heihachi. So, and I remember watching the commercials for that. I thought
we
that
had
was
the
kinda neat.
GameCube version.
So, yeah, that was a oh, man, that was good nostalgia, and their music was great for that
Oh, the
series.
levels were so beautiful too.
Mhm. They were very well done. I
Yeah, I
liked it.
loved that game. That one, MK, has always been like my two big fighting games.
Mm.
Someone asked, what statues do you own? We obviously see the Mileena in the background. I don't know if you have other statues to show.
I do. I'm sitting at a desktop though, and by the way, this arcade I built myself. So if you're seeing back there in the background, let's see what I can do here. My area is not as lit up and nice as yours, of course. So, but yeah, that arcade I built all
Is
the
that
way from
is
the
it,
ground up. I designed all my graphics, everything like that.
is
Four
it just
player setup.
preloaded with everything, like all the games?
Yeah, it's got a terabyte hard drive in it, so of ROMs and stuff. So
That's cool.
yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't light this up. I didn't prepare, but yeah, I've got the MKX Scorpion bust. Got a couple Iron Studios pieces. There's the Jade, the first one we did. That's kind of what I have on display right now. I have a couple like other minor things. I'm still like organizing my house myself, but yeah, MK mostly. I also really like. I'm a big Cyclops fan. Like I love the X Men. Cyclops is awesome to me. So I have his sideshow piece, the premium format figure. I had XMs for a little while, and I got rid of that, and I'm kind of regretting that now. So I'm kind of
Mm.
waiting for somebody else to make another good one. I heard Ant might be making a 1/3 Cyclops, so I kind of hope he does that soon.
Nice. And someone asked about Killer Instinct. That is actually the other game I played growing up with my brothers. We had an arcade of Killer Instinct. I played it a ton. So
I sucked at that game. I was so bad at
really,
it. So I could not get the combos right. I
yeah,
loved it though.
I got the combos. I played Sabretooth and the guy with the Indian dude. I played him. Can't
Mm.
remember his name, but I
I
enjoyed. I
think
know
Tomahawk was his name, if I'm not mistaken.
was it Tomahawk.
I think so.
He was fun to play. Loved doing his like little like uppercuts with his head. That
hmm
was so fun.
And then there
But
was TJ the Bot. Yeah, I loved Saberwolf and Glacier, I think it was his name,
yeah,
or Glacius,
Glacier,
Glacius. So
Glacius. I'm sure we'll see some statues. I got tickets, Predator. I'm seeing it day one. We need an
what's that?
X-Men food. Is that talking about the new Alien Romulus movie? I want to be.
Oh yeah, we'll see if that's any good.
We will say X-Men Toad. Marvel vs. Capcom. I did play
Oh,
that.
that's a good one too. Yeah. I'm actually working on something like that right now for Marvel vs. Capcom, but
Yeah, we
we'll
got a few
talk about
say
that shit.
Marvel vs. Capcom is the greatest fighting game of all time. I did play that. It was a fun one.
It's
It's
pretty good.
definitely unique.
I'll give it my top 5, okay? I'll give you that. It might be number 2. I think number 1 for me is I don't know. It's tough. No, Marvel vs. Number 3. It's number 3. So,
See, for me, it's probably MK9 than MKX. I still like MK9 more,
mhm.
although it's hard to go back to MK9 after MKX because MKX is so quick and fast paced. With the running, MK9 is so slow.
Yeah.
But MK9 originally, like that was my thing, dude.
Mhm. Yeah, classic arcade games were some of the best. So, especially if you grew up in the 90s and you got to go to the arcades and play them. Well, I just had a different feel to it.
Yeah, we had a place called Nickelcade. I don't know if that's national, but basically every arcade was 5 cents, and so we would go there, dude, and
That's
play
awesome.
for hours. Yeah, five
Deal right
cents
there.
any arcade, and then we'd go to a pizza buffet right after. That was like the greatest joy as a kid for me was those two things.
Man, it's sad. Yeah, younger generations just don't know, and I'm really upset for them. So, I mean, online gaming is great, but there's something about being in the actual arcade that just was just a feeling you can't top. And Dave and Buster's is nowhere near close to that. So, I'm sorry. That's
I've
just a
never been
ticket
to Dave
cade
and
money
Buster's.
grabbing thing. So,
I've never been there. They have them, in Salt Lake City. I haven't been though.
they're okay. I mean, my kids love going to them, but I mean, I know what I know. So, that makes me happy back in the day. So,
We definitely grew up at a good time. We got to experience everything.
I think so, yeah. So, and the Sega Genesis era and all that kind of stuff. PlayStation 1. It was good
Yep.
times for sure. So,
Yeah, I still remember playing Nintendo and Super Nintendo as a kid. My
mhm,
brother would actually beat me up if I wouldn't play video games with him.
yeah.
He forced me to play, and because I wanted to go outside and ride bikes, and he's like, "No, you're playing Nintendo with me."
Man,
Like,
some of those games are hard. Like I remember playing the original Ninja Gaiden on Nintendo and like just the timing you had to do with all those jumps and the certain strikes, like that was a really hard video game to play. And then I discovered they made a Game Genie and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" It's like, "Oh, you get all the cheat codes." It's like, "Oh, how about that?" Like, we finally beat this game. It's like,
those old school games are very difficult. I remember one of the hardest games I played was Shinobi, uh,
yeah.
where like you would be like, I don't know, like disappear, reappear, but then if you fall off a cliff, you have to redo the whole level. So you
Mm.
make one mistake, you would lose like 20 minutes of what you just accomplished. Oh, that
Yeah.
game was so hard, but I remember I beat it and I was so happy I finally beat it.
They were brutal, man, back in the day. They were just like, let's just make this. So let's see if they can beat it.
Are you a fan of soul games at all? Like Bloodborne, Neo, Elden Ring?
I'm familiar with them. I've never actually played them before, so my time is limited, unfortunately, now in my older age.
Dude, they
So,
are difficult,
oh
especially
yeah,
if you played them. I played Bloodborne, that was my first one. I died so many freaking times. It took me hours to beat just like the very first boss.
Hmm.
But definitely something I recommend. All right. Half scale PCS Ghostface looks sick. After that, Myers, I wonder what other horror icons they'll do. I mean, they could obviously do another Pennywise. I mean, Prime One has theirs, but they could make their own version. Prime One had a lot of issues. Freddy, Jason hasn't been done by PCS. I would think they would do them next. We know they showed off their Ash, but man, their Ash face likeness was terrible. They need to fix that. Anyways, Gabe, it is getting pretty late over for you, so I think we'll go ahead and end it here. If you have anything else you want to say to the viewers, go ahead. Otherwise, we can end it here.
No, that's fine. I mean, they know where to find me, and yeah, I mean, looking forward to hearing from you guys. Like, if you love MK stuff like we do, and got more stuff coming down the line that we're just trying to help everybody out and make some cool stuff. So I'm glad that other people enjoy it, and I hope I can keep doing it for a while. So
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah. And everyone, again, descriptions, there's links to his group. So reach out to him. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.
see you guys.
Peace.
Thanks for having me.